The first time I killed my mother, she was still alive. I did not use a knife. I did not use poison. I used my mouth. My mother is dead. Those were the words I said. And my mother was standing only 5 streets away from me. My name is Vanessa Cole. I grew up in the loud, busy, shining city of Chicago. Tall buildings touched the sky. Bright lights never slept. Cars moved like fast rivers on the road. People wore nice suits and carried expensive bags. But I did not belong to that shining world. I lived on the other side of the city, where buildings were old, where paint was falling off the walls, where children played in cracked streets, where rent was always late. My mother and I lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a broken building. The stairs made noise when he stepped on them. The lights in the hallway did not always work. When it rained, water came through the window. But my mother always said, "This house may be small, but love lives here." I hated when she said that. Love did not buy designer shoes. Love did not pay school fees. Love did not make people respect you. I was a student at Crown Valley Academy, one of the most expensive private schools in the city. I got in because I was very smart and won a scholarship. But scholarships only paid for classes, not clothes, not lunch money, not weekend trips, and definitely not pride. The students at Crown Valley lived in big houses. They traveled during holidays. They had birthday parties on rooftops and yachts. Their parents were doctors, lawyers, business owners. My mother washed clothes for rich families. She cleaned offices at night. She sold homemade food on weekends. Her hands were always rough. Her back always hurt, but she never stopped smiling. And that smile embarrassed me. One Monday morning, my class teacher said something that changed my life. "Next week, we will have Family Legacy Day. Every student must bring at least one parent to share about their family story." The class cheered happily. I felt my stomach turn. Bring my mother? To stand in front of students whose parents wore diamond watches? To speak with her simple words and old dress? No, I could not let that happen. That afternoon, Tiffany Monroe, the richest girl in our class, came to sit beside me. "So, Vanessa, what does your mom do?" she asked casually. My heart began to beat fast. In that moment, I had 2 choices: tell the truth or build a better story. I chose the better story. I said calmly, "She was a fashion designer, but she passed away 3 years ago." The words left my mouth like cold wind. Tiffany's eyes widened. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Other students heard. Soon, everyone knew. Vanessa's mother was dead. And just like that, I buried my living mother. That evening, when I got home, she was cooking rice and beans. She looked tired but happy. "How was school?" she asked. I looked at her, alive, breathing, smiling, and I felt nothing. "Fine," I said. I went into my room and shut the door. That night I did not sleep because something inside me knew I had just started a lie that would grow bigger than my life, and I had no idea how much it would cost me.
After I told the lie, something changed. Students began to treat me differently. They spoke softly to me. They invited me to sit at their tables. They called me strong. They said, "You're so brave," for losing a mother who was still alive. It felt powerful. For the first time, I was not the scholarship girl from the poor side of town. I was the tragic rich girl with a painful story. I built more lies around the first one. I said my father owned properties in New York. I said we had a beach house in Miami. I said my mother used to design clothes for celebrities. Each lie was like adding another brick to a beautiful house made of glass. It looked perfect, but it could break any time. At home, life was different. One evening, I saw my mother counting coins on the table. $1 bills, quarters, pennies. Her face looked worried. Rent is due again, she whispered to herself. I watched from my bedroom door. I wanted to feel pity, but instead I felt anger. Why couldn't she be more? Why couldn't she be like other mothers? The next day at school, Tiffany invited me to her birthday party. It would be held at Skyline Tower, the tallest building in the city. Parents would attend. That night, my mother entered my room gently. I heard you were invited to a party, she said softly. I can wash your white dress so it shines. I'm not going, I said coldly. She looked surprised. Why? Because you can't come, I shouted. She stepped back. I don't need you there, I added. Her eyes became wet. I only wanted to support you. I turned away.
Because if I looked at her too long, I might see something worse than poverty. I might see love, and love was harder to ignore. That night, as she coughed in the kitchen from tiredness, I stared at my ceiling. My fake world was shining brightly, but my real world was slowly cracking, and I still chose the fake one, because I believed something dangerous. I believed that being poor was a disease, and I believed my mother was the infection. But I was wrong, and soon the truth would come looking for me. The lie was 2 weeks old, and it was already breathing like a living thing. Students treated me gently. Teachers looked at me with pity. Even the principal once said, "You are very strong for a girl who lost her mother." Each time I heard those words, something twisted inside my chest, but I ignored it until the day my two worlds collided. It was Thursday afternoon. The sky was gray, and cold wind rushed between the tall buildings downtown. School had just ended. Students were laughing near the gate, waiting for drivers and shiny cars. I stood beside Tiffany, pretending to text on a phone that had a cracked screen. Then I heard a voice. "Vanessa!" My heart stopped. I knew that voice. It was warm, it was tired, it was full of love. I turned slowly, and there she was, my mother. She was standing near the school gate holding a small food container. She wore her old brown sweater, the one with the tiny hole near the shoulder. Her hair was tied back, her slippers were dusty. She looked small, very small, and very real. My friends followed my eyes. "Who is she?" Tiffany asked. My brain moved fast, too fast. I think she's mistaken," I said quickly. But my mother had already seen me. Her face lit up like the sun breaking through clouds. "Vanessa, you forgot your lunch this morning," she called happily. Some students began to look at us. I felt heat crawl up my neck. "Please," I whispered under my breath. She walked closer. Each step felt like thunder in my ears. "Vanessa, baby, you left in a hurry. I didn't want you to stay hungry," she said gently, holding out the container. Tiffany stared at me. I saw confusion in her eyes. I saw questions, and fear rose inside me like fire. I made the worst choice of my life. "I don't know you," I said. The words came out clear, sharp, cold. My mother froze. The container shook in her hands. Vanessa, it's me." Students began whispering. "Isn't her mom dead? I thought she said—" I stepped back. "You must have the wrong person," I said louder. My mother's face changed slowly. First confusion, then shock, then something deeper. Hurt, real hurt. She looked around at the expensive cars, the rich parents, the tall school building, and then she looked back at me. In that moment, I saw it. She understood. She understood what I was doing. She understood that I was ashamed. Her lips trembled, but she forced a smile.
"I'm sorry," she said softly. "I must be mistaken." She turned around and walked away. Each step she took felt like something inside me was breaking. But I stood there, still, silent, pretending. Tiffany looked at me strangely. "That was weird," she said. I forced a small laugh. Yeah, some people just want attention. But inside, I felt something heavy, like a stone sitting on my heart. That night, my mother did not talk much. She moved quietly around the apartment. She did not ask about school. She did not smile. And when she thought I was not looking, I saw her wipe her eyes. But I told myself something simple. It's necessary. Because in my mind, I still believed something foolish, that protecting my fake world was more important than protecting her heart. I did not know that the universe was watching and preparing something that would expose everything. After that day, things felt different. The lie was no longer smooth. It had cracks. Tiffany started asking small questions. If your mom died 3 years ago, why did that woman call you baby like that? Why did she know your name? I laughed it off. Crazy people remember things. But Tiffany was not stupid, and rumors began spreading slowly. I could feel eyes watching me in class, whispers behind my back. Something was coming, and it arrived sooner than I expected. 3 days later, Crown Valley Academy held a fundraising event. Parents were invited. Students helped decorate the hall. I stayed late after school to assist. Outside the building, I saw a familiar figure pushing a cleaning cart. My heart nearly stopped again. My mother. She was wearing a janitor uniform. She was cleaning the event hall. I stared in horror. She had gotten a temporary job at my school, the school I told everyone she never saw. I rushed toward her. "What are you doing here?" I whispered harshly. She looked surprised. "I applied for a cleaning job. They needed extra workers for the event. It pays well." "You can't work here," I said. "Why?" "Because you're supposed to be dead."
But I could not say that. Students were walking nearby. If they saw her, if they connected the dots, everything would collapse. "You are embarrassing me," I said through my teeth. Her face fell again. "I am only trying to pay rent," she said quietly. Rent. The word echoed in my head. I had forgotten about rent, about electricity bills, about the landlord's warnings. All I cared about was my image. Just then, Tiffany walked into the hallway. She froze when she saw us standing close. Her eyes moved from me, to my mother, to the cleaning cart. And in that moment, the glass house shattered. "Vanessa," Tiffany said slowly, "I thought your mother was dead." The hallway became silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. I could hear my mother breathing. I could hear my lies screaming inside me. And for the first time, I had no story ready. No rich father, no designer past, no tragic explanation. Only truth. Standing in a janitor uniform, looking tired, looking small, looking like the woman who gave me life, and everyone was watching. The hallway felt smaller than it had ever felt before. Students stopped walking. Conversations stopped in the middle. Even the air felt heavy. Tiffany's eyes were locked on my mother. "You said your mother died," she repeated slowly. My lips moved, but no sound came out. My mother looked at me, not angry, not shouting, just waiting to see what I would say this time. And I made another mistake. She's just someone who works for us," I said quickly. "Our housekeeper." The words fell like stones. Some students gasped. My mother's fingers tightened around the cleaning cart handle. For a moment, she did not blink. She did not move. It was like she had turned into glass. Tiffany looked confused. "Your housekeeper?" "Yes," I said, forcing confidence into my voice. "She's been with us for years." My mother slowly lowered her eyes. And then something happened that I will never forget. She nodded. "Yes," she said softly, "I work for her."
The hallway became even quieter. She protected me, even after everything. She protected me. But God was done protecting my lies, because right then the school event coordinator walked in holding a stack of papers. "Ma'am," he said to my mother, "I need you to sign this temporary worker form. Please write your full name clearly." He handed her the paper. Students were watching. Tiffany was watching. My mother took the pen, and she wrote slowly, "Margaret Cole," the same last name as mine. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. Tiffany looked at me. "Cole?" she whispered. My head felt dizzy. Someone in the back said, "That's her mom." Another voice said, "She lied." Phones began to come out. Whispers turned into murmurs. Murmurs turned into noise. She said her mom was dead. She said they were rich. She said... The sound of my fake world breaking was louder than any scream. I wanted the ground to open and swallow me. I wanted time to go back. I wanted to take every lie and push it back into my mouth. But it was too late. Tiffany stepped back from me like I was something dirty. "Why would you lie about something like that?" she asked. I looked at my mother. Her face was calm, too calm. And that calmness hurt more than anger. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not to the students, to me. She picked up her cleaning cart and walked away. Her back looked smaller than ever. And that was the first time I felt something stronger than shame. I felt guilt, real guilt. That night, my phone would not stop buzzing. Messages, screenshots, videos. Someone had recorded everything. The moment I denied her, the moment she said she worked for me, the moment her name exposed the truth. By morning, the whole school knew. Vanessa Cole, the girl who buried her living mother. The next day at school was worse than any nightmare. No one sat beside me. No one spoke to me. When I walked into class, conversation stopped, not because they respected me, but because they did not. Tiffany moved her seat. One boy laughed loudly and said, "Careful, she might fake her own funeral next." The teacher tried to control the class, but the damage was done. During lunch, I sat alone. For the first time since I entered that school, I was exactly what I had been running from, alone. Not because I was poor, but because I had lied. When I got home, I saw something that shook me even more. Our landlord was standing at the door. He was angry. "You have 2 weeks," he said firmly. "After that, I need full payment or you leave." My mother nodded politely. "I understand." He left. I stood there, frozen. 2 weeks? I asked. She smiled weakly.
"I will figure something out." "How?" I asked, my voice shaking. She did not answer immediately. Then she said something that broke me. "I can work double shifts, maybe even night shifts." "You already work too much," I shouted. She looked at me gently. "I don't mind, as long as you finish school." Finish school. Even after I humiliated her, even after I called her a servant, even after I erased her, she was still thinking about my future. I suddenly saw her differently. I saw the dark circles under her eyes, the small scars on her fingers, the way she held her back when she thought I wasn't looking. I remembered something. When I was 6 years old, I had a fever. She stayed awake for 3 nights straight. She did not sleep. She did not eat properly. She held my hand and prayed. And now I was ashamed of her. Ashamed of sacrifice? That night I could not eat. I could not sleep. The video of her writing her name played over and over in my head. Margaret Cole, my mother, the woman I killed with words. And for the first time I understood something clearly. I was not embarrassed because she was poor. I was embarrassed because I was afraid. Afraid that people would treat me differently. Afraid that I would not belong. But I had lost something far greater than belonging. I had lost my integrity. And the only way to fix it was to tell the truth. Not small truth,
Not half-truth, the full truth, publicly.
1 week later, Crown Valley Academy held its annual Student Leadership Assembly. Every grade gathered in the main auditorium. Students were allowed to give short speeches. I was on the list. Before everything happened, I was chosen to speak about overcoming challenges. The principal asked if I still wanted to speak. My first instinct was to say no, hide, disappear, transfer schools. But something inside me said, if you ran before, run no more. That morning, my mother ironed my uniform carefully. She did not mention the video. She did not mention the shame. She only said, whatever happens today, stand tall. Stand tall. The words echoed in my mind as I walked onto the stage. The auditorium was full. Hundreds of eyes looking at me. Some curious, some judging, some amused. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I walked to the microphone. For a moment, I could not speak. Then I saw her, my mother, sitting at the back, in her simple brown dress. She came, even after everything. I took a deep breath. My name is Vanessa Cole, I began. Silence. I told many of you that my mother was dead. Murmurs started. I lied. The word echoed through the hall. I lied because I was ashamed that she is poor. I lied because I wanted to look rich. I lied because I was afraid you would not respect me. My voice cracked. But the truth is this. The strongest person I know is my mother. I pointed gently toward the back. Heads turned. She looked surprised. She washes clothes. She cleans offices. She works until her hands hurt. And she still comes home and smiles at me. My tears fell freely now. She is not dead. She is alive, and I am proud she is my mother. The hall became very quiet. I thought money made people important, I continued, but I was wrong. Character makes people important. Truth makes people important. Love makes people important. When I finished speaking, there was silence for a few seconds. Then someone clapped. Then another. Then the entire hall stood up. Not for my lies, but for my honesty. I stepped off the stage and walked straight to her. For the first time in public, I hugged her tightly. And I did not let go. Life did not change overnight. Some students still whispered. Some friendships never returned. But something bigger changed inside me. I stopped pretending. I stopped lying. I stopped running from my truth. Instead of hiding my mother, I walked beside her proudly. When she worked school events, I helped her. When classmates asked questions, I answered honestly. Something surprising happened. Respect returned. Not fake respect. Real respect. Tiffany eventually came to me one afternoon. I was angry, she admitted, but what you did on stage was brave. I smiled softly. I should have been brave from the start. At home, things were still tight financially, but I got a part-time tutoring job. I helped younger students with math and reading. For the first time, I felt useful. Not because I was pretending to be rich, but because I was building something real. Months later, I received a letter. A full academic scholarship to a top university. Not because of lies, but because of merit and character recommendations. On graduation day, my mother wore a new dress. Not expensive, but beautiful. As I walked across the stage to receive my certificate, I did not think about the rich students. I did not think about the video. I did not think about the shame. I thought about her hands. The hands that worked for years. The hands that held me when I was sick. The hands that wrote Margaret Cole on that paper. And I smiled, because I finally understood something simple. My mother was never too poor for my world. I was too blind to see her worth. And when I finally opened my eyes, I realized she was the richest part of my life. Before you judge someone, before you laugh at someone's parents,
before you feel ashamed of where you came from, stop and remember this story. Vanessa almost lost the most important person in her life, not because of death, but because of pride. She thought money gave value. She thought rich friends meant success. She thought pretending would protect her. But pretending only made her empty. The truth is, there are mothers right now waking up at 4 a.m. There are fathers working double shifts. There are parents hiding their pain just so their children can smile. And sometimes, the very people we are ashamed of are the ones bleeding silently for our future. Vanessa learned the hard way that poverty is not a shame. Lack of gratitude is. If your mother sells in the market, if your father drives a taxi, if your parents work jobs that being looked down on, stand tall. Because those hands that look tired build your tomorrow. Never trade love for acceptance. Never trade truth for popularity. And never let the world convince you that the people who sacrificed for you are not good enough. One day, the lights of the city will fade. The rich friends may disappear. But the love of a parent, that stays. So tonight, before you sleep, call your mother. Call your father. Say thank you. Because some people don't get the chance to say it. Vanessa almost lost hers. Don't lose yours. Moral of this story: poverty is not a crime, but being ashamed of love is. Lies may build attention, but truth builds respect. Real wealth is not money. It is sacrifice, character, and love. Never be embarrassed by the people who worked hard to raise you. Your background is not your shame. It is your foundation.